Hello everyone, this is Bushra Sayyed, Assistant Professor of Zoology at CUSHA Institute of Science, run by CU Ronak Foundation. Today I am presenting the second lecture on of semester 3 on genetics, the mutation part of it. It belongs to paper number 201 and unit 4. So let's begin. The definition of it. Okay. So what is mutation? It is the sudden harmful heritable change in the number or structure of genes. Sudden harmful heritable change, which means that it is a harmful change. Mutation itself means harmful change. Where the change will occur? The change will occur over the genes. Yeah, so the change will occur in the structure of the genes. What kind of change? It will be a harmful change. It means that whatever protein the gene is going to express will be changed or modified or will be produced in less amount. It could be anything, but it will definitely be a harmful change. Let's see the mechanism. A normal gene, this is where the gene is located. We know that the genes are located on the DNA. So over the DNA, these genes, when they are expressed, they will give rise to a normal protein. In mutated condition, where there is a mutated gene, you can see here the mutation has been expressed by the breakage of the bonds, right? So this particular mutation has gave rise to an abnormal protein, means the protein which has been expressed by that particular gene will be an abnormal protein. It means that wherever this protein is going to function, for example, the shape of the legs, right? So normal shape of the legs will not be formed if the protein is abnormal or if the protein is not produced. Okay, so in mutation, what can happen in gene mutation? Either the protein expressed is abnormal or the whole protein is absent. Moving further to the types of gene mutation, there are two different types of gene mutation. The first one is the somatic gene mutation. It shows that somatic cells of your body, the somatic cells are the cells of your body which are capable of cell division. Okay, so whenever there is a mutation in the somatic cells, it is known as somatic cell mutation, the somatic cell gene mutation. The another one is germinal gene mutation, which occurs in the germinal cells, that is the reproductive cells of the body. We'll talk about it. First, we'll talk about the somatic mutation. Okay, so the somatic mutation occurs in the normal cells or the alive cells of your body, which cause a change in the phenotype. See, we know that the gene which will be producing a protein will be somewhere or the other will be giving a phenotypic character, right? During gene mutation, this phenotypic character will be changed, right? So here in the somatic gene mutation, the phenotypic change will be restricted to a particular organ where the mutant cell belongs. For example, if there is a mutation in liver cell, for example, so this liver cell will be giving this liver cell, the mutated liver cell will be restricted to the liver only. It will not cause any damage to any mutation to any other organ of the body. Okay, so it will cause the phenotypic change only in the organ to which the cell belongs. Examples are seedless grapes, horticultural varieties of flowering plants, white sectors in the red eyes of Drosophila males. We have studied about Drosophila in the previous lecture. So yes, what about germinal gene mutation? When we talk about germinal gene mutation, they take place in the gametes. Now, which are the gametes? The male sperm and the female ovum, right? So if there is any mutation in the sperm or ovum, it will be passing into their offsprings. Okay, so it is passed through offspring either through mutated sperm or ovum. If any of the sperm or ovum, if either of them is affected, it will lead to the change in the phenotypic character and the gene mutation will be followed in the offspring, and this will be a heritable change. So from one offspring it will be passing to the other offspring. So generation to generation will be affected by that particular gene mutation. Unlike the somatic mutation, the germinal mutation will be there in all the cells of the body. Each and every cell of the body will be having that particular mutation. Okay, example is short-legged sheep, Down syndrome. We know that Down syndrome is the trisomy 21, chromosome number 21. There is an extra pair of extra chromosome of number 21. There are total 3 chromosomes. Usually, normally we have 221 chromosomes. In this case, we have 321 chromosomes. So the whole phenotypic character of the body changes, which leads to various symptoms in the body. Coming to the next is the mutable genes. What are these mutable genes? Okay, an unstable gene that is both highly susceptible to mutation by extrinsic and has a high intrinsic rate of mutation. Like one particular gene, see, there are some genes which are prone to mutation in your body. Okay, as compared to other genes, they will be at higher risk of getting mutated by any extrinsic factor such as ionizing radiation exposure. We'll see later what it is. So they are more prone to any kind of mutation, these particular genes, and we call them as mutable genes. They are at a high risk of mutation, either extrinsic or intrinsic. Extrinsic means maybe some outer factor, the factor which is outside your body will be affecting and leading to the gene mutation. Whereas the intrinsic mutation is like something changed has been happened in your body only, which is giving the gene mutation. Okay, so moving ahead. Okay, so when we talk about mutable genes, there are two phases of it, which is the first phase. The first phase is where that we have a DNA, we have a sequence of gene on it. There are different sites of mutation. Okay, suppose there are three different sites of mutation, and all these three different sites of mutation on one particular sequence will give rise to only one type of mutation. The same mutation will be given by different mutable sites. Okay. Okay, so if in a sequence there are more than one mutable sites, they will be giving rise to same mutation. This is one phase of the mutable genes. Yeah, so the example of the first phase of mutable gene includes tryptophan synthetase in E. coli. We have already studied the tryptophan synthetic pathway in the last lecture, right? So this is one of the enzyme. Yeah, this is one of the enzyme, that is tryptophan synthetase. It is responsible for the synthesis of tryptophan, right? In the previous lecture, we have not named any enzyme, but yes, this is one of the enzyme which is responsible for the formation of tryptophan in E. coli. Okay, so this particular enzyme, we know that enzymes are proteins, and proteins are made up of polypeptide chains. There are total two polypeptide chains, out of which this particular enzyme is formed. Any one chain, if there is polypeptide A or polypeptide B, if any one chain is present in the structure of this particular enzyme, it will not produce tryptophan. So it means that it requires both the polypeptide chain in the structure of tryptophan synthetase to produce tryptophan. Okay, so what we have observed is that due to multiple mutable sites in the gene producing A chain, the tryptophan will not be produced, okay, by the bacterium. Obviously, the bacterium will not be able to produce tryptophan when there are multiple mutable sites. See, on the gene, there are many mutable sites. There are multiple mutable sites, but the effect is only on the A chain. Okay, so there is only one mutation, but through multiple mutable sites. So this is the example for the phase 1 of the mutable gene, where different mutable sites are there for one single mutation. Coming to phase 2, there is same mutable site. Okay, there is one mutable site, but the mutations will be different. Okay, there is one mutable site, but the mutations will be different. How? Let us see through an example. Again, tryptophan synthesis. How? A change at the same mutable site results in two different kinds of polypeptide products. Okay, there is change in the same mutable sites, but the polypeptide products will be different. How? Polypeptide chain. We know that polypeptide chain will be made up of different amino acids. Okay, so one change is what? Where the glycine is replaced by glutamic acid. The amino acid is being replaced. The normal one is glycine, but the abnormal one is glutamic acid. That is one change. The second change is where the glycine is replaced by valine. Okay, so again normal is glycine, but it is replaced by valine. So this is how one particular mutable site can give rise to multiple mutations. Okay, so this is one of the example. So that's all about mutable genes. Now we will move towards the next topic, that is the mutator genes. What are mutator genes? Mutator genes includes genes that take part in DNA synthesis. We know about DNA replication, where from one strand of DNA, parental DNA, two new strands of DNA are formed, right? That is what DNA synthesis is. So in the DNA synthesis, the genes which are responsible for DNA synthesis are some or the other way, if they are mutated, they will give rise to mutated or changed replication, or the DNA which is produced by that particular replication will be mutated. Okay, so where does the mutator genes affect? They affect the genes encoding DNA polymerase. DNA polymerase is one of the key enzyme that is required in DNA synthesis process. Other mutator genes are also involved in DNA repair. In DNA repair, if they are present, then they are also the mutator genes. They have been analyzed in detail in bacteria, although they are not much known for humans. But we know that the mutation in the mutator genes will be activating proto-oncogenes. Now, what are these proto-oncogenes? Proto-oncogenes are those genes which we call as silent cancer cells. Okay, sorry, silent cancer genes. If they have been activated, they lead to the formation of cancerous cells in your body, but usually they are inactivated. But the mutator genes have the capability to activate the proto-oncogene and result into cancer. So that is one of the major example of mutator gene. Coming next to the mutagens. The next topic is mutagens. Mutagens are the chemicals or the agents which are responsible for mutation, for causing mutation. Okay, we have to study only two of them, the radiation and chemical. First one when we talk about is the radiation. So there are two different types of radiation you might have studied in chemistry, ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. Examples of ionizing radiation are X-rays, gamma rays, alpha and beta rays, neutrons, protons. These are the rays or the agents which cause ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation, when we talk about, the examples for them are ultraviolet and visible light. We'll see one by one, but first we need to know what is ionization, correct? So we'll see what is ionization. What happens is when the rays, for example, gamma rays and X-rays have more capability to penetrate the tissue. We know that X-rays are used for diagnostic purpose. So this particular rays penetrate into tissues very easily as compared to alpha or beta rays. Okay. So if this particular rays are fall on a normal atom of your body, what will happen? It will cause irradiation. Through irradiation, what will happen? The atom, the normal atom which is there in your body, will become unstable by losing one of its electron from the outer shell. Okay, this is what ionization is. When there is a loss of electron from the outer shell of a stable atom, we call it as ionization. Okay, so this is what happens in the cells of the body also. So if this ionizing radiation fall over the tissue, they will produce electrons. They will lose the atoms in your cells will lose the electrons and will result in mutation. How? We'll see that this radiation, okay, there is ionizing radiation. It causes two types of damages, the direct action and the indirect action. What happens in the direct action is that it will cause damage to the DNA and will result into strand break. It could be, we know that DNA is double stranded. If it causes double strand break, or it can cause single strand break. That is a direct action. What happens in indirect action is the generation of free radicals. Now, what are these free radicals? We have seen that this is an unstable atom. If it has lost one of its electron, it is unstable. Now it will thrive for stability and will combine with the normal compounds in your body such as hydrogen, oxygen, and will lead to the generation of free radicals, the unstable free radicals, which ultimately leads to the damage of the DNA, causing gene mutation. How gene mutation? Because DNA has genes over it, and if the strand will break, it will break the genes, leading to gene mutation, and the protein associated with that particular gene will be affected, causing damage to the body. That is about the ionizing radiation. Moving towards the another type of radiation, that is non-ionizing radiation. In that we will be studying about the UV rays, that is the ultraviolet rays. We know that the ozone layer, when it is being depleted, the UV rays falls over the earth, right? And we are living on earth, so it will be damaging or causing mutation in human body or animal body. So these UV rays will cause mutation. How? It will penetrate into the tissues and will result into mutation. Maximum absorption of UV rays occurs at this much wavelength, that is 2600 angstrom. At this wavelength, it is being maximally absorbed by your body tissues. What does it do? It will do excitation. Excitation means at atomic level there will be high rise in the electronic energy of that particular atom, which will lead to dimerization. Now, what is dimerization? Before that, you should know, and you know that DNA consists of four different types of nitrogen bases, right? Nucleotides, the purines and pyrimidines. Purines are Ag and pyrimidines are Ct. Ag, adenine, guanine, purines. Ct, cytosine, thymine are pyrimidines, right? So what happens because of UV rays? We know that in the structure of DNA, A binds with T and G binds with C. Okay, we all know this. The structure of DNA, the normal structure of DNA. What happens because of UV rays? The thymine, thymine is a pyrimidine. The thymine will be affected. There will be bond formation here. If you see, there will be bond formation between two thymine residues, right? See here, you can easily see. We call it as pyrimidine dimer because two thymine are now being joined. In the normal structure, they are not being joined, but here there will be bond formation between the two and it will be joined, leading to what? Leading to mutation, leading to gap or mutation at that particular site. Thymine, which usually binds with adenine, right? AT. So here what will happen? It will not be able to bind with adenine because it has already bind with the thymine, other thymine residue. So it will not be able to bind with adenine. In addition to that, it might bind with guanine, means it is wrongly paired. Okay, it will not be able to bind with adenine, but it will bind with the guanine residue, causing damage in the replicated DNA. Here if you see the structure, these are the two thymine residues. In the presence of UV rays, they will be joined through a double bond between them, right? Causing the formation of thymine dimer. This occurs when? This occurs when there is UV radiation absorbing in your body and leading to such kind of mutation at the genetic level. And we know that UV rays are mainly responsible for causing cancers, mainly the skin cancer. Okay, so this is what happens there at the genetic level, which results into that cancerous phenotypic character. Moving ahead to the chemical mutagens. So radiation part is over of the mutagens. We'll see how so chemicals will lead to gene mutation. So there are two different types of changes that have been caused, the mutation that has been caused by the chemical mutagens. The first one is the direct gene change. It causes mutation when DNA is not replicating. Okay, so during cell division, the first thing that happens is the DNA replication. But before that, the cell has many functions, other functions to perform, right? When it is not replicating. So when it is not replicating, at that time, these chemicals will be interfering and will causing changes, breakage, deletion, insertion, such kind of harmful changes in the DNA strand leading to gene mutation. These are the examples such as nitrosoguanidine. EMS is ethyl methyl sulfonate, sulfuric and phosphoric esters. These are uh, mainly been leaked in the air by the industries, right? So it is present in the air, the polluted air to be precise. Okay. Coming to the next, that is copy error. Copy error is what? It is the production, it is the chemicals which are the base analogs, right? Again, four bases: adenine, guanine, thymine and cytosine. These four bases, they have analogs like the chemical which are resembling to the structure of these bases. For example, 5-bromouracil, 2-aminopurine, they resemble to adenine, guanine, right? So what it will do, it will replace the base analog and will result into the formation of a damaged DNA, causing changes in the gene. So it will result into gene mutation. So this is how chemical will affect the gene, your normal gene functioning, your normal DNA functioning, leading to gene mutation. Coming to the next, that is reverse mutation. Now, what are this reverse mutation? For that, you should first know what is forward mutation, right? From a wild type, it means a normal type. Okay, a normal body or a normal functioning body, if there is any harmful change due to gene mutation in the body, that is known as mutant, right? A wild type, a normal type, it is converted into mutant through a forward mutation. In most of the cases, what occurs is the reverse mutation, where the mutant will be again converted into the normal wild type. Okay, it means that mutations which are there, they have the our body has the capacity to reverse those mutations which are harmful to our body. Okay, we have earlier seen in the slide repair. Okay, DNA repair is what it is, that the mutated sites are being repaired in that process. Okay, so this is how the reverse mutation occurs. When there is a mutant gene present in the DNA strand or in the sequence, it will be converted into a normal type. How? Okay, we call it as a second mutation that restore the original phenotype. Okay, it will save you from the abnormal phenotype and it will bring back the normal phenotype. There are two different types of reverse mutation. The first one is the back mutation, which occurs at the same time when the forward mutation has occurred. Means if at a point of time, in the real time only, the change will be completed by the reverse mutation. Okay, and at the same location. Suppressor mutation is the other type of reverse mutation which occurs at the different location in the genome. It means that when the forward mutation has took place, it will not change it instantly by reverse mutation, but it will take some time. It will take some other sequence of the body and restore the original phenotype. So no matter if there is a mutation in the gene, but at some other location, it has changed or repaired the thing, the reverse mutation has changed it and has restored the original phenotype. Okay. Example of it is Drosophila. In Drosophila, many examples of reverse mutation are observed. So what we can say from here, that I have already told that mutation has the our body has the capacity to reverse the mutation, to convert the mutant type into wild type. So we can say that mutation is a reversible process. It is not irreversible, but it is a reversible process where the mutant gene or the mutant phenotype can be converted into a normal phenotype. Moving to the next topic, that is the frame shift mutation. That is also one type of mutation. Yeah, so what is frame shift mutation? It is the mutation which is caused by addition or deletion of a nitrogen base. NB is nitrogen base, the adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, the four nitrogen base. They are arranged on DNA if there is addition of a particular nitrogen base or a deletion of a particular nitrogenous base will be resulting into frame shift mutation. Why it is known as frame shift mutation? Because it will shift the reading frame of codon from the site of change onwards. The diagram will give you a clear view. We know that codon, this is a codon. We know that three nitrogen bases forms a codon. Each codon is responsible for the formation or the expression of an amino acid in the polypeptide chain. So this is how the whole polypeptide chain is produced, and from the polypeptide chain it will cause the formation of a normal protein. So here what happens in frame shift mutation? This is a normal translation is what, that is the formation of protein, right? So this particular sequence is the normal sequence. Here if you see, it is the frame shift translation. See, it has shifted its reading, right? The codons are now changed, and so the codons, if they are changed, then all the amino acids which are formed will also be changed. See here, it is threonine, arginine, threonine, alanine, tyrosine, right? This is the chain of amino acid in a polypeptide chain, normal polypeptide chain. What happens in abnormal one is it has been replaced by the abnormal amino acid. So if the amino acid are changed, the polypeptide chain will be changed, and because of which what will happen, the protein which is formed from this polypeptide chain will be a damaged one or the changed one, okay, resulting into a abnormal phenotype. So this is the frame shift mutation. That is why we call it as frame shift, because the reading frame of a particular codon is been shifted from normal to abnormal. Why? Because of addition or deletion of the nitrogen base. So the definition gives you two type: deletion, that is the loss or deletion of one or more nucleotide, or insertion, addition of one or more nucleotide. Nucleotide is equal to the nitrogen base. See here in the diagram, this is the normal sequence. Sequence after deletion. See, this is CGT, here it is CTC. One of the nucleotide has been deleted. Which one is deleted? CGT, CTC. The G is being deleted from here. So the reading frame has been shifted. This C has come here, and this is how it has shifted the reading frame. What happens in the addition here? There is addition of one C has took place, so that is why the reading frame has been shifted to abnormal one. So this occurs usually in frame shift mutation. See here, if you see in this, 3 nucleotides have been deleted. Here it was only 1 nucleotide. Now here there are 3 nucleotides which are being deleted. Okay, this will cause a major difference. This will cause a loss of amino acid. Okay, because 3 subsequent nucleotides are being deleted. That is why there will be absence of an amino acid in the polypeptide chain. Here it will be in the insertion or the addition one. The whole new codon, a new codon is added, which will result into the addition of some amino acid in the polypeptide chain, because 3 nucleotides are being inserted into the normal reading frame. So this is how it is. It is not only one deletion or addition of only one nucleotide, but it could be more than one. Coming to the last topic of today, that is paramutations. Paramutations, when we talk about, what are they? In epigenetics, a paramutation is an interaction between two alleles at a single locus. At one particular locus, two alleles are located. We know that two alleles are located together, and which forms a gene. So if these two alleles interact with each other, where one allele will induce change in the other allele. This is something relatable to the epistasis mechanism, where one allele was able to mask the expression of other allele. But this is paramutation. Paramutation is a bit different. Here it will cause, one allele will cause change in the other allele. But before that, we should know what is epigenetics. Epigenetics is a change in phenotype without the change in genotype. Right? It means that the gene sequence will remain the same. The polypeptide which is going to be produced will remain the same. But the phenotypic character producing out of it will be abnormal, or it will be changed. Right? That is epigenetics, a new phenomenon that you came across, that till now we were looking that change in the gene will be leading to change in the phenotypic character. But here this is a new mechanism where there is no change in the genotype, there is no change in the gene, but still the phenotype will be changed. How? Because of paramutation, right? The alleles will remain the same, but what will happen? One allele will be changing the expression of other allele. So the genotype will remain the same, but their phenotype, their expression will be changed. Okay, the allele inducing the change is known as paramutagenic, and the allele which is epigenetically altered is known as paramutable. Means the genotype of that paramutable gene allele will remain the same, but it will change the phenotype. It will change the end result. Okay. One more definition of paramutation, it is the best known example of non-Mendelian genetics. Definitely it does not follow the allelic pattern of Mendel, so it is a non-Mendelian inheritance arising from allelic interaction that leads to meiotically inheritable gene silencing. Gene silencing is what that one allele will not be able to express the other allele, where one of the gene will be silenced and will not be able to express its protein. That is gene silencing. So paramutation in a way also leads to gene silencing. First, in the history of paramutation, if you see, it was first seen in maize. We know that the color of a maize kernel were red or purple, right? Yellow is the mutated variety of it. We see that today the maize kernels are yellow, the maize seeds are yellow in color. The yellow color is due to the paramutation in the maize. Okay, so that is one example. Another example in animal system are also studied in Drosophila and mice. That's all for today. Thank you. If you have any query, you can contact me on my mail ID. Good luck.